Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm planning for a AEM series which will conducted by one of my friends Srikanth. So this is a complete series we're gonna start from starting to complete experience level and end to end we'll do those stuffs. So let me hand over to Srikanth and he will start explaining all those stuff, right? So yeah, welcome Srikanth.
Thank you, Rajni. Hi, guys. This is Shrikanta. I am a tech lead at one of the startup companies. And yeah, today we are going to start as AEM. I am a AEM developer and I do have a certification of AEM lead developer along with an AEM architect. So let's start, not wasting the time. So yeah, few of you might have heard about AEM. So AEM is one of the CMS technologies, and it has a broader, stronger, and broader kind of a presence throughout the market because it's a tool from a brand. You might have already know this brand, Adobe. So this particular tool is provided from Adobe. Okay. So yeah, let's start little details. So AEM in the sense the abbreviation is Adobe Experience Manager. Before going too deep, I'll give some history about it. So AEM is not a straightforward tool that was developed by AEM. So it was developed by a company called Communique. So that company was Communique, and when they started, it was like a CQ. They call the tool as CQ. It was CQ2, CQ3, CQ4. The versions were something like that. And at a point of time, when the tool was quite matured, and it was called as CQ5, which was the most popular name during that time. I think it was around 20s when the CQ5 got most popularity. And at that point of time, Adobe took over the Communique company, and they have taken over this particular tool, and they bought this tool from the Communique, and they have renamed it for the next version when it came as a 6.0. Its version when changed to 6.0, it has been renamed to AEM 6.0, and from that point of time it is called as AEM. It is no longer we call it CQ5, but even today when you search something you might get some term something called CQ5. Okay, so that means it's AEM related only. Okay, so yeah, other than that, so when AEM Adobe took over the tool, it has a quite broader presence, and it has a very kind of a strategic uh, logic and business in terms of the way the tool handles. It has good optimization, and it's quite lightweight to host multiple websites. So now it has been a tool provided by Adobe, and along with AEM, Adobe provides a lot of other tools. However, the most latest version is 6.5. I don't remember the complete minor version. I assume it must be 6.5.8 or 9. But Adobe has launched something called Adobe Cloud SDK. So Adobe has two versions now. One is Adobe 6.5 standalone version, which most probably they will continue for only few years, might be 2 to 3 years down the line, which is kind of a standalone SDK, standalone server, everything. But they have also launched AEM Edge Cloud, which was launched. I remember it was I think on 2019, and now they ask the client to migrate to cloud side as well. But they do offer 6.5 as well, and they do provide support, security fixes, everything. Okay, and this was the basic information about the Adobe Experience Manager. Okay, Adobe Experience Manager. I'll go through the other features that is provided by Adobe, all the features which might be related to Adobe Experience Manager. So yeah, let's go through that. So whenever you go search for AEM, most probably you will get Adobe Experience Manager 6.5 documentation. 6.5 is the latest version, and when you get something at 6.5, that means it is valid for the latest. And even there is not much difference comparing to the 6.5 and the cloud. Only some of the cloud configurations are different. Otherwise, all the concept are equal throughout the standalone and the cloud. Okay, when I'm speaking about the standalone, that is the standard version of 6.5, which comes with a standalone server. And when I'm speaking about the cloud, in the cloud they will provide you a AEM instance, AEM server, which can be extendable automatically. It's like the modern technologies with cloud support. Okay, so this is AEM, and AEM is a CMS tool. Okay, I am preparing a slide as well. I'll try to provide this slide as part of. I'll go through this slide, and even I'll provide the link to the slide as well. Okay, so we already checked the AEM. I just gave a small description. Now, even what is AEM, I told little bit about it, but more deeply we will discuss as well. Okay, going forward, AEM is a CMS. That means what is a CMS? Okay, CMS stands for Content Management System. So, what is Content Management System? Usually, what happened? Usually, we always develop our server or our project website using one of the technology called, we call it either backend technology or front end technology. Most of the time, it will always either mix or only front end technologies. Either front end technology, when you build something, it will be only a static website. It's like almost like our W3 school. But when you see for other website like any of the e-commerce website, they do have backend technology as well. So the backend technology can be any of the backend programming language like Java, .NET, C, C Sharp, something. Okay, and in the front end technology, most of the cases it will be compiled version of a UI framework, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, now when CMS came, so there was a problem when website run into managing their content. So usually when we open a website, they do have a lot of content. So let's take an example of Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon. So they do have a lot of product. Every product is kind of a data, and we can think as a content, and they have to maintain all this content at one place. So there has to be a team. Even though there will be a team, they should be provided, I mean, somehow they should get a facility or feature that they should be able to organize this product information. Like if there is a product and all the images are there for that product, somehow it has to be some kind of a folder basis. Somehow it should be in a structured basis. But in a typical website, like when we just make a back end and front end, like in Java and in UI, you have to write a lot of coding only to organize this folder. And even after that, if you wanted to do any of the changes, you can't do it. That's where the CMS technologies came, so which made it easier. How can you make most probably organize this content, and at the same time you should be able to serve to the user. So public should be able to get the latest content. For example, today Flipkart has a I think end of season sale, they call it EOSS. So they can't show the same image, same picture, whatever they have provided like 3 months ago. They have to update their content very fastly. Today whatever the image is there, next day they will tell, oh, this is the second day of sale, and the image will be changing, the product will be changing. Whatever the suggestion they are showing on the first day, they will be changing on the second day. There will be a lot of item that will be stock out, and there will be a lot of item newly added that they will start showing it. So somehow there is a vast kind of a fast processing of updating a content in the website. Every content will be updated over like very fastly, within fraction of second. And it's not only one guy will be updating, it will be lot of person, they will be updating those content in real time. That's where CMS actually made it easier. And the mostly use case for the CMS is the e-commerce. This is the best example for e-commerce where we call it CMS. Other than the CMS, other than the e-commerce, there are marketing. Any website those are targeting for marketing, CMS is the best example or tool they can use for their website to target any of the user, to target any. I mean, there are a lot of other feature they can use out of the CMS to leverage their organization to grow their revenue or all those details. Okay, this is somewhere the CMS comes up. So I hope I have given at least slightly some example that given a kind of a overall perspective of a CMS. Okay, the content that is being managed by an organization, and if they wanted to manage in a very structured way, that's where they required a tool called CMS tool. And it's not just a one tool. There are several companies, they provide different tool for this uh, feature or facility. Okay, so one of those CMS tool is Adobe, Adobe's Experience Manager. Okay, Adobe Experience Manager, it is from Adobe. Other than that, there are other CMS tool. Okay, okay, before going to the next, are there any question till now? So most probably, Rajni, I will ask those questions to you. I am assuming that whatever question you will have, our audience will have. Otherwise, they will. I know after this recording, also they can put their question on the comment section wherever. I'll try to respond all of them. No
Uh,
problem. But
yeah, yeah.
any questions you will have, just make sure you ask them as well. Okay.
Yeah. So you said that this is a content management CMS content management system. So
Mm.
how does it differ? So let me create a dashboard for a e-commerce website, and where everything I can put there. Suppose today I am publishing some more products. Then in that UI, that dashboard UI or admin UI, I can have those options like add add these things or add these products to that particular table. So this is also possible, right?
Yes. Okay. Let me take a typical example that if we would do something in a typical technology for backend and frontend, one of the best backend framework I have heard something called Spring
Mm-hmm.
or Spring Boot, they speak. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are doing a e-commerce website on Spring,
Mm-hmm.
that means the backend will be done on the Spring, and there will be a UI part along with the backend as well. Okay,
Right.
so for that, if we have to implement, we have to make a admin panel where only admin can update anything, but others cannot update anything. Correct,
Mm-hmm.
but it is not even limited to that. Because it's a backend and front end technology, our team can work in such a way that we should be able to provide such a system, such pages that everyone should have their access level, all those things. And it takes almost maybe more than a year or two only to develop this system. And every company cannot afford this, because every company, every today if you see, there are multiple e-commerce companies, and even small scale industries are also interested to build their website. They just want to, there is a jewelry shop, they just wanted to sell jewelry over online, but they cannot afford this much level of development skill, right? And even they can't afford the development team for that. But if they if any of the organization, they want something quite faster, they wanted a built-in technology that will give most of the features ready made. Okay, kind of out of the box. When they bought the tool, these features should be already there. Like sign in will be there, you just go and make a group and it will start working. And there will be something kind of a dashboard, you just go and configure the dashboard and it is ready.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be the public website, you just start creating a pages by this and it'll look like this, so by default. But definitely, when you start something, you may not look like it may not look like what you are expecting. However, it might be kind of similar to all the website. That's where the AEM team or AEM developers job will be customize them according to the client's requirement. So I'm hoping I'm not clearly giving you the answer, but this is one of the difference that makes CMS is more useful and advantageous comparing to the typical other kind of a framework based project. Okay,
Yes, yes, got it. I mean, instead of developing the entire thing, all those stuffs by our own, so the CMS will provide everything. Just what you need, just do those things.
that's correct. That's correct. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now we will see the competitor. I'll show you one of the example where how many CMS are available, but these whatever the images I will show, that will have only the most popular CMS. But there are numerous CMS technologies are there. You can just do a Google search. There are lot of sites they populate almost like 3000 CMS technologies. Even you can create a CMS technology which will work only for specific client. So it's not limited to any number or any brands, that only this much of CMS are available. Okay, so let me go through the other CMS technology. So if you see this image, so here the most top and the right is the Adobe, which is who provides the CMS technologies. One of their best CMS technology is AEM. Okay. Other than AEM, they do provide a lot of other cloud-based marketing tools and digital experience tools. But other than Adobe, if you see, there are other CMS technologies are there. Okay, one of the CMS technology that is not mentioned here, I'll tell, that is popular, but that's still not mentioned here, because it's more likely consumer based, not the business based. Okay, WordPress is one of the best, I mean, a popular CMS. I will tell, I won't tell best, but it is the most popular CMS today people use. Okay, it is built on PHP, and a lot of things are ready made. Just user can go do some click and some kind of installation step, and they will have their website ready. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, but other than WordPress, there are some problems in WordPress. That's where these CMSs are being preferred by the business team, most probably the business clients, to choose for their company. Okay, so one of the best CMS today, so this image I have taken one of the popular website who has taken some kind of report out of the market, software market, and they have provided some kind of a chart where they can mention who are the brands and what are the CMSs, how their presence and how they are stronger in the market. Okay, how much they are strong comparing to each other. Okay, so Adobe is definitely a one of the leader comes out of, but other than Adobe, there are lot other technologies like Optimizely, Equia, Contentful, Content Stack, Sitecore, and they do have also multiple kind of a multiple clients, and they do have good presence. Uh, but these, remember, these are only CMSs, and these CMS do not have a fixed technical stack. So for example, Adobe can be built, so whatever the AEM is built, that uses backend, from backend perspective, Java is the language they do use, and you cannot change it to .NET or some other language. Okay, but similar to that, Sitecore is built on .NET. It's not in Java. Okay, so there are some differences between CMS technologies where you will always have a choice based on the different specification. You can't just go and choose any of these. So there are different choices from other technical perspective as well. Before selecting it, you have to consider all those technical specification to select one of these. Okay. Okay, so if you see, so this is the chart where Adobe is one of the leaders, as I have already mentioned, and there are other CMS technologies also. If you want, you can search all these names to find out a little more details about it, but I'll go back to our previous slide and I'll tell how AEM is different from others. Okay, so one of the couple of things I will start telling. So the way AEM works, okay, the way AEM works, it's a CMS technology. It helps to maintain your content. Okay, and the best thing, we'll actually go through the features that is provided by the Adobe's website itself. But other than that, some of the basic thing I'll tell. there are a lot of marketing feature that will available as part of the AEM when you take AEM. Okay, first. Second, it is built on top of Java because of Java's open source behavior. It is more popular, and client will have more resourcefulness considering AEM comparing to others. But it's not only remember, these are the features what I feel, and it might differ person to person. Okay, these are the features, but actual features whatever provided by Adobe, we will go through them as part of the Adobe's documentation itself. Okay, so one of the key point I feel, that is one of that is AEM uses most of the cases open source tools. As I have already told, that is one is Java, that is the backend technology, backend programming language they use, and resource for Java is more easier comparing to other technologies. Okay. Second, Java is a compiled based language, so it has more security comparing to any other script based programming languages. Okay. Other than that, AEM they Adobe confirms, like if you take our tool, so you can build your website within a week just by just by using one of most of their core components. So when we get this tool and we can just generate a project structure that will itself come up with a lot of functionality, and using those out of the box or ready made functionality, we can actually create a website which will be ready to be published. Okay, ready to be published in the sense user will be able to access that website without any problem, and even client will be able to manage their content along with that. Okay, that is what Adobe promises. Okay, third thing, it is a premium tool. Okay, it's not something that everyone can do. Okay, when a client is thinking to go to AEM or take the AEM as their CMS technologies, they have to acquire a license from Adobe. So it's not open source. The tool is not an open source, but the tool uses open source technologies. However, the tool is not open source. It is completely licensed. Without a license, you can't even run for a trial version for on your server. Okay, maybe the developer version will come with 30 days. There is a SDK they might provide with 30 days developer version where developers can test it. However, you cannot use for your server capabilities. Okay. Then another point is Adobe provides their support. They call is Adobe 24/7 support. There is a different term, I don't remember, but the support team always available 24/7 and throughout the world. Okay, so if you have any problem, you can always reach out to Adobe 24/7 hours by raising a ticketing system. They do have a ticketing system. You just raise a ticket, you will be getting a resource from Adobe to solve your problem. Other than that, continuously when you acquire AEM license and you do a project in AEM, and if you so when you acquire license and do a project in AEM, that means you are being some kind of you're acquiring a partner's license with Adobe. That's where Adobe's support team you can always have for your deployment. So whenever your development team is doing something, all your deployment will be going through the AEM support team. Okay, and this will but remember, the support team will be available for deployment only for the standalone structure. AEM has two structure I have told earlier, that one is standalone structure where you will be getting a standalone server and your project will be deployed into that and it will be ready to use. In that case, in that scenario, AEM will provide their support team for the deployment along with your project. Okay, along with the license. But for the cloud, it depends on the client whether they wanted to take the AEM support team or they wanted to do it by themselves, because the cloud console comes with a configuration which is kind of a ready to use by any of the developers. If someone has the AEM certification, they can actually use them. Okay. So these are the primary features I feel or I felt that is kind of different comparing to other CMS technologies, which makes a client quite confident to choose AEM. However, there are other specific AEM features that we will go. Okay, let me open that as well. Okay. AEM Project Archetype. This is actually a GitHub project archetype provided by AEM. Okay, this one. Okay, so this is actually a Maven template. I haven't gone through the details, but in their documentation they have provided, that's where I am opening this documentation to see, show you. Okay, so one of the so there are lot of features. In a basic level I'll go through these. Okay, AEM always go through best practice. So AEM all yearly 2 times they up their version. In the sense they will add the security fixes, patch everything yearly twice, and Adobe won't let the client to have backward version for a longer period. So Adobe has made kind of mandatory. You can have only 2 minor version or 2 backward major version, but you cannot have more than that. If you are having more than that, Adobe won't support you on real time. However, support will be available on payment basis. Kind of you have to pay for your support if your version is more than 2, I mean, sorry, backward more than 2. So for example, if the latest is 6.5, so your AEM can be 6.3 or 6.4. It should not be 6.2. If it is 6.2, AEM won't be supporting in real time, and if you seek any support from the Adobe, they will charge higher cost as part of the backward support. Okay, backward version support. Okay, this they haven't mentioned is completely. I don't have those documentation, but this is the information I know about the AEM till today. Okay, so yeah, so they always go for the best practices. Always they try to have the latest update, latest information, latest modern technologies onto their server and system. Always they update their security to make sure everything is secure. Low code in the sense Adobe do provide a lot of coding as part of their feature. As part of, I mean, whatever the feature we usually develop, and whichever the feature are kind of very generic throughout multiple projects, they do provide them, and they have provided almost like tested and well tested. Okay, and that's where developers should not code a lot. All the coding already been done. All the coding in the sense almost major side. It's like almost I would say in kind of a reference point or example way. 70% of things they have done, and the 30% of the thing developer has to do. AEM developer has to do something like that. Okay, cloud ready. That means AEM has provided something called AEM as a cloud service. If you are willing to go for AEM as a cloud based modern technologies, where you will get the scalability and less maintenance kind of technologies, and your project should be always scalable even throughout 24/7 without any downtime. So this kind of scenario, you can always go for cloud. AEM is a cloud service. That's where they call it. AEM is cloud ready. Okay. Dispatcher. So Dispatcher is a functionality provided by AEM and Adobe. Most probably it faster the content delivery of the website. They do have kind of a layer only for caching technology. So for example, there is a client, they have acquired an AEM license and they don't have the cost to bear the CDN, or they are not willing to go for a CDN cost in the initial time. So they do not need to be worry about the caching mechanism or the load on their server, because AEM has provided some kind of a dispatcher layer on the AEM server, which actually takes the most of the hit before any of the request or any of the load goes to the server, always the dispatcher layer is there, and dispatcher layer will decide and let the request or whatever the information has to go from the server, it'll allow accordingly. Okay, so dispatcher is some kind of a layer to make sure your server is safe and it should not be hit by a random attacker for multiple requests, like a huge, if a huge request which is kind of a same request that comes again and again. So in those cases dispatcher layer helps a lot, malicious request, and it can also block to those requests with some kind of rules. Okay, that's where the dispatcher feature is quite useful in this kind of scenario. And this feature, in my point of view, this feature is not available in most of the CMS. Okay, multi-site. What is multi-site? For example, you do have a website like Amazon, and your website is hosted throughout the world. Okay, your website is there in US, your website is there in England, your website is there in Russia, your website is there in India, everywhere. So, for example, if you do serve uh, multiple languages, so in those cases, so you might always opt for multiple websites. So there are two ways AEM supported. One is you can actually host multiple websites on same server, which is possible. At the same time, one website with multiple country and region options also you can host on AEM. So AEM already provided some kind of structure for this uh, to host multi-site, multi-country, multi-region, and multi-language. Okay, this is a ready-made feature. When you generate a project or create a project in AEM, it will available. Okay. Okay. Next, called core components. So when we acquire an AEM license and we get an AEM server, when we create a project, we can, I mean, that project comes with a core component, kind of a built-in component that was already made by the AEM team. Always we can use them or reuse them. Even if we don't like, then we can create our own component. So most of the component, like standard, one of the example is the banner carousel. Today's day, header, footer, excuse me, uh, sorry. Today's day, every website have something called header, footer, and a banner carousel or some kind of a banner component. So these kind of sections already made by AEM, and they do provide along with the basic skeleton structure. Okay, but remember they do provide only up to a limited functionality, which is quite generic to all the client. They do not provide any specific functionality that is specific to a client. Okay, so always check for the features available as part of the core component by going through this link. Okay, they do have all the configuration, everything. Now there is something called editable template, responsive layout. Okay, header, footer, it's, yeah, I have already told, it's part of the core component. So these are the component that's provided by the AEM team, so that you can always use your component for your website, and it is quite generic to all the client. That's where they have given it. Editable template is it's kind of a structure they have provided. So as part of when you create an AEM project, you have to go through something called editable template. This is kind of a structure that always allows you to change your page style. So the way your page looks, you can always change it. If you want to add some flavor to it, you can always do that. If you want to add some more information or you want to remove some information from multiple pages at one time, which have a similar view, that you can do it. Okay. It might not be clear from my explanation, but yeah, when we will go through the detailed about the editable template, you will definitely understand it. Okay. Responsive layout in the sense it is ready for the different breakpoint. So all your website that will be built on AEM or any of the component that you use from the AEM team, it will be already it will be ready to use on the different breakpoint. When I'm speaking about the breakpoint, you can use your website on the mobile, on the tablet, on any of the larger screen as well, and even you can control it through the website itself. Okay, then it comes style system, front end build. So these two are related to the front end. Style system in the sense you can have multiple style to different component. So all these kind of these functionality will be quite flexible as part of the AEM, uh, and even as part of their core component, whatever the feature they do provide. So your team can always change their theme, color, style, the way your website appears all the time based on the requirement. Okay, front end build. So AEM do support most of the UI framework. So when AEM, I think AEM 6.3 till AEM 6.3 or 6.4, I remember, it was only one of the flavor that was plain vanilla JavaScript, where we can just write some HTML, CSS, JavaScript along with some library we can use it. But later AEM introduced something called SPA editor. That's called single page application. So when this functionality introduced, you can use now React, Angular, Vue.js, any of these UI framework along with your AEM project. Okay. Now next is web app ready. So yeah, as I mentioned, it can be used by React, Angular, SPA framework along with even if you want to use AEM as some kind of only backend system, not the UI, also it can be used. Okay. Next, commerce enabled. Commerce enabled in the sense because AEM is most preferable choice for most of the e-commerce companies, and they have to maintain their product in different system. So different system in the sense there are a couple of tools that comes like Magento, and there are other tools. They do feed their product data to that particular tool, and that particular tool has to provide the information to AEM. So that kind of feature they have to always provide. If you go for any of the CMS or as part of the e-commerce system, they do have different tools that will be fed for with the product information, and those tool will start providing the product information after some execution. They will start providing those product information in a standardized way to our website. Usually, this is the process. But when you take for AEM, it provides some kind of a framework that will automate this process. So they do have coding and kind of a pre-coding or ready-made coding for most of the inbuilt functionality or feature for this kind of scenario. So one of the framework called commerce integration framework, which is most probably used for Magento, but other than Magento also other tools also it can be used. Okay, then forms enabled. So AEM form is another feature from Adobe. We'll go through the other feature kind of feature in the sense uh, you have to acquire license different feature for from AEM. So these are the feature part of the only from the AEM side, but Adobe provide different capabilities, or they call it as capabilities of Adobe. So from Adobe, we do have AEM Edge site, AEM Edge site in the sense AEM Edge website. You can host your site and you can maintain your site as part of the CMS on AEM. Other than that, AEM provide other capabilities that is called AEM Asset and AEM Form. AEM form is something usually it is used for companies like insurance company where form based executions are a lot more than the standard scenarios. Okay, you always have to go through forms, you have to execute forms. There are a lot of fields that you have to control. If someone is a senior citizen, then there is a different thing. You just assume that 2 or 3 years back, or 5 years back, how we had a form we had to fill on railways ticket. When you take a railway ticket, you have to fill up a lot of information, and that is somehow been in a different way that has been executed from the railway side. If it is a senior citizen male, there is a different concession for that. If it is a female, senior citizen, there is a different concession, and the age of a female senior citizen and male senior citizen is completely different. Other than that, if it depends on your route where you are going, and that way they have to assign the ticket. They cannot assign a kind of upper berth to the senior female citizen. Some kind of those rules you have to apply to the form. So on those kind of complex scenarios, AEM form is kind of a very suitable feature. Okay, AEM form actually comes with AEM sites, but only for AEM form license also can be acquired from Adobe for any of the companies. Okay. Next feature is testing. So any of the code that is provided from AEM, those are already tested, and those kind of it's kind of ready-made and tested thing that you have to use. You need not to be worried about any of the security issues or any of the kind of a breaking issues of the component. Okay, breaking feature of the component. Okay, example code. So you do have a feature while generating the project or creating the project, that do you want some kind of a example component coding, that so that you can refer to those code, that also you can create as part of the when you create the project itself. Okay. The last one is open source. Open source in the sense, other than the license, everything is open sourced. Okay. It's little tricky, or it's a bit funny. So you have to acquire a license to use AEM, but most of the tool that is used part of AEM are open sourced. Okay. Yeah, these were the technical features that are part of AEM. So other than that, we will go through the capabilities from as part of the AEM. Okay. So what are the capabilities? Let me search for AEM, and we will go for Adobe website. AEM Adobe Experience Manager. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think I've shown you this image, right? Hmm. Yeah, this is one of that. Explore all product. And one of our required is AEM Experience Manager. That too. Okay, one is Experience Manager, and another is Experience Assets. Okay, so these are the two major capabilities that is part of AEM Experience Manager, Adobe's Experience Manager, they call it. Okay, so this is AEM site. You have to acquire a different license for AEM site. But if you want to use AEM asset, I'll tell you what is asset. Asset in the sense, any document or any data that is not in the form of kind of a site, your website structure, that can be considered as asset, like any txt file, any pdf file, any images, videos, audios, any of the binary structured file, those are considered as assets, and as part of the AEM you have to place them in the AEM asset. So there is a structure they have provided from the AEM, and they call it as AEM asset. You can take it as a AEM, one of the AEM feature or AEM capabilities.
So
So
Srikant,
when you,
if
yeah,
you'll consider like in AWS perspective, so we can compare
that's
like S3.
that's correct. That's correct. Thank you for the kind of a reference. So the way you use S3 bucket, S3 bucket. Amazon, I think Amazon AWS S3 bucket that comes, you can actually place any of the content or any of the data onto AWS and you can host it. You just uh, you put the data and it will give you a link, and through that link it will be exposed everywhere. If you do have that link, you can access that particular file itself. So that is one of the best feature that actually helps a lot, because you don't need to upload the content again and again. You just upload once and use the URL as a text in your website anywhere. So the way S3 bucket works, in up to almost the behavior is almost same, but there are different features are available as part of the AEM Asset. So one of those couple of example I can tell, like if you upload a picture, so you can actually create different dimension of picture out of that, and you can have different URL. You can add some more information to the picture, like what will be the alt property of that picture, what will be the uh, I mean copyright information. All those information you can actually add to the AEM asset. However, this is not like a only feature that is provided by AEM. There are some feature that is specific to AEM that Adobe provides, but some feature are quite generic to any of the other content publishers. Okay, so these are the two main capabilities provided by Adobe as part of the Experience Manager. Other than these, there are three capability cumulatively you might get. So whenever you get for a job, most probably they might have a very specific kind of a requirement, like only Adobe Forms developer. Okay, so there are different developers as part of the AEM. So one capability is AEM site, which includes everything. AEM site in the sense it includes website, forms, and AEM asset. Okay, it includes all the three. Other than that, but if someone is not telling what is the specification, that means you consider that is AEM sites. Okay, if someone is speaking about the asset developer, that means it is very specific. The developer has to be specialized and should have expertise. Only most of the his expertise should be on Adobe's AEM asset, and similar to on form as well. Similar, that you should have more forms side of expertise to be a Adobe's form developer. Why do they need a very specific developer, and how do they realize? Because AEM actually takes some kind of examination to certify the developers. You can't just go and certify. There is a cost. If you wanted to certify, you can certify yourself. I assume it was around 8,000. I think 8,000 in rupees, 8,000 or 10,000. I don't remember exactly, but around $200. I feel it is 150 or $200 you have to pay. But if you are a developer, you have already uh, into a project, and your company can sponsor this at least once, whether you pass or fail. There is a sponsoring. Some companies sponsor that developer can go and attempt, which is a free attempt. Only once you can do a free attempt. If you pass, then you will get one more free attempt. If you don't pass, then your free attempt will go off. Something like that. That's the way you have to certify. And this certification comes different for different capabilities: AEM sites developer, AEM forms developer, and AEM assets developer. Other than the AEM, Adobe provide a lot of other technologies. If you see, just go to business.adobe.com and just you see these, explore all product, and it does have a lot of other uh, product information about the Adobe. Okay, so the most popular is Adobe's Experience Platform, which is kind of linked to AEM sites. Other than that, it does have Adobe Analytics, which is also popular. It is similar to Google Analytics, but this is something licensed one. Okay. Other than this, there are a lot of other cloud-based products Adobe provides. Okay, this is as part of the Experience Cloud. This is only as part of the Adobe Experience Cloud. That's where you are not seeing the Adobe's PDF, Flash Player, all those things. So those are also a different section as part of the Adobe. Okay. So this was a basic related to AEM. Okay. What is AEM, and how CMS technologies kind of part of the our software IT, or how client actually uses the CMS technologies, and who should choose the CMS technology. These are the information about only these kind of scenarios. Okay, and I hope the basic information about the AEM, some kind of some level of idea you might have got already. But yeah, going through the different session, we will go through detailed about AEM, how to create a project, and every detail about the AEM as well. Okay. Meanwhile, I would like to take some question from you, Rajni. If you do have any question throughout this, or any other question that may not part of this session, but part of AEM or any of the CMS related question.
No, Srikanth, I am pretty clear about this session. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe in upcoming session we can cover AEM architecture and creating those projects and those stuffs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I am pretty clear. I think you have covered all those things in a good manner.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you again in the next session.
Yeah. Thank you all.